Have you ever wondered how biological aspects work in the Cars franchise? I think the question is obsolete, and in fact, we have only gotten hints at things like how cars evolved. However, the first episode of Cars on the Road provides more substantial knowledge about some things that we may have only assumed. So, welcome to my review on this episode. Feel free to skip to that part where I take a closer look at the truth about the evolution of cars, or enjoy the entire video. The biggest difficulty for Dino Park was to introduce us into the show. In fact, a shot of around 8 minutes length can provide too much substance, and thus we briefly see lightning race around Willie's Butte, a classic start. Mater interrupts the scene by announcing his journey to his sister's wedding. Back in Radiator Springs, all are astonished too. The scene is a little weird because not all townies speak and it feels a little rushed. However, Lightning's phrase, "McQueen and Mater are hitting the road," concludes the intro quite well. What I like is how the two are arguing about the Dino Park, because trips like these are always related to troubles where to go and where to not go. The world's largest lugnut sounds fun, whereas Carhenge is a little out of place. Then comes one of my favorite parts of the episode. We learn something new about Lightning. He loves dinosaurs. He talks about some intense research that contributed to his knowledge, but I think he just became passionate when he was bored in Mac's trailer, and all TV had to offer was a good documentary series on the prehistoric era. Anyways, there's a range of answers to the evolution of cars. Dino cars existed, just like dinosaurs in real life. Over the course of time, the more advanced models were brought to fruition by nature. The evidence can be seen as an Easter egg in the visitor center. This table shows the progression of vehicles. They started in the ocean as submarines, similar to the one in the Showtime episode that also looks like a prehistoric creature. They advanced step by step from sea to land life. One of these steps looks like the prehistoric version of hydrofoils. At Carsland, there are film posters of carified Pixar animation factory where Fueling Nemo was produced, and this shows a giant submarine shark, so the different species have persisted, of course, just more advanced now. We still don't know how reproduction works, how Lightning and Sally could have children, for example, but we now know that real-life evolution has a counterpart in the Cars universe. And the Westfalanapus is a good example of progress. As a reference to the Volkswagen Westfalia, it resembles the general Volkswagen Bus. In my opinion, it shows off quite well how simple and bold prehistoric life has been. Giant exhausts are not hidden beneath the car, the bumper is not integrated into the main body, and the panels on the roof are bumpy. But how about the Quadratorcusa? It has bothered me a lot, especially since I own the diecast. It has lots of resemblances with modern cars too. It has a front part similar to a cab, and the rear part has 4 instead of 2 tires, so it seems to be at least a van in modern terms. To me, the quad it has a tank, so maybe the quad is some sort of predecessor to vehicles like Mr. Drippy, just a little smaller, or Adam Rodriguez, even though the latter doesn't have an extra tire, but he has a tank. The quad traveled in herds, according to Lightning, and later on, in Mater's dream, they sound like cows, so they seem to be a base for tractors too. In the same sense, the Mechatorbonatops could be broken down. He has giant horns and looks a little fierce, just like bulldozers or Frank. Besides, his cab is bigger than the quad's, like a hauler. The horns could resemble the latter's exhausts. I'm sure that both bulldozers and haulers could be based on this dino car. I've already mentioned the Daydream and would like to come back to this now. This might be the major strength of the episode, or at least one of the major strengths, as it lets us experience the dino cars in real life. The scene pays tribute to Harryhausen's stop-motion style, just like the film Mater has watched at the beginning. This only makes sense as his imagination of the prehistoric world is dominated by that first impression, and dreams always refer to what we have experienced. The dream is only about 1.5 minutes long, but yet it accelerates the dynamic of the shot a lot. We get to see the quad and of course the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex plus the Spinocrankshaft Rex. The latter refers to the Spinosaurus and the crankshaft car part. I love how bold these dinosaurs are. Even when the tyrant is captured, he still tries to eat lightning. Also, he can't even move properly, rather walking than driving. His entire body is not suitable for proper motion. A tiny wheel on his tail helps balancing, but these mini tires that are like arms are useless. His neck isn't even fully covered by metal too. I love how different car parts were implemented on this one. He has this head that looks like the front part of a chassis, and in fact it's not even too prehistoric as it has a similar shape like some vintage cars, e.g. Big D. Lightning and Mater themselves are perfect examples of evolution too. In the prehistoric era, their metal bodies would be made of stone, raw and bold. Their tires aren't even, and Mater's bumper is a branch fixed with some natural ropes. The same applies to Lightning's spoiler, made of bamboo. Obviously, it shall not have too much weight, like it is on a racer. The diecast also shows his exhausts are wooden, and these giant foreheads are terrific in my opinion. Mater's entire towing cables are awkwardly simple too. To conclude, I'd like to come back to the general structure of the episode. As we have seen, lots of attention has been paid to world building and the corresponding details. Cartaceous Gardens delivers loads of insights on how cars have evolved, how their dino counterparts look like, and this is a huge strength for the episode. Besides, the plot itself is filled with some amusing insights on Lightning's character, and that's what I've mentioned in my Showtime review too. We want to learn more about our protagonists, and a road trip with tons of different places to see and surprises along the way is the perfect occasion. Moreover, the story features that silly and yet great Daydream. However, especially the intro scene in Radiator Springs was rushed, and so is the entire shot in a whole, even though the chemistry works well, and we need to admit that it feels fine as soon as we watch it for the second or third time. Last but not least, we even encountered the Dino Co-Dino again. Make sure to leave a comment on your thoughts and see you again soon.